Good afternoon. It is the first day in the month of March 2026, and it's such a joy and a privilege to be here. We're grateful to God for life. We're grateful to God for peace of mind. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's show on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. I am your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, bringing your way character matters for nation building. You're welcome again.
You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on World Radio 89.3 FM.
All right, you're welcome again. It's still Wells Radio 89.3 FM, and this is Character Matters from Nurture Nest. I'm your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe. Today, I have in the studios two amazing women who are passionate about child protection, child safeguarding, and when we're talking about character matters, I know as a counselor, we get a lot of clients who come in and we see issues that that they've had to deal with from when they were young, from when they were children. And so today we're moving from theory to enforcement, and we're looking at how we can all begin to put hands together so that we can bridge the gaps as it concerns our children. A first guest on the show today is Mrs. Patricia Abokede. She's a developmental psychologist, a trauma recovery coach, trauma-informed parenting coach. She's a woman who wears many hats. And I know that she's going to give us some very insightful words today as it regards the topic. We've been looking at personal integrity and ethical living, and today we're looking at the issue of trust as it relates to one of the most vulnerable citizens in the society. You're welcome, Mrs. Abokede. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Sunday.
Thank you. You're welcome. And my second guest is Mrs. Rosemary Ada Odigbo. She's a social worker. She's the founder of Jesus Children Missions Outreach, state coordinator of Child Protection Network or your state chapter, and also the Southwest Zonal Coordinator of Association of Orphanages and Home Operators in Nigeria. You're very much welcome to the show today. She's, passionate. I say passionate case manager, passionate when it comes to issues that have to do with children. So good to have you on the show today. You are welcome.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy new month.
Yeah, so good to have the two of you on the show. And like I said, sometimes when you want to begin to talk about the kind of topic that we're going to be talking about today, something that affects quite a number of people. And you see a lot of people, people say, oh, why is child protection a marketplace issue? But when you understand what it entails, you know that the child who is neglected at home today, it becomes the CEO who exploits his workers tomorrow. So a deficit of integrity is the nursery. In the nursery becomes a deficit of ethics in the boardroom. So we're protecting the future of our economy by protecting the hearts of the children. So like I said, we're moving from theory to enforcement, and listeners often feel helpless when they see abuse, because they don't know the rules of engagement. And sometimes because of the issues that people deal with, you're also looking at how you'll be able to help people who've been through abuse, or people who are aware that children are being abused and sometimes do not really know what to do, how to respond. And, we're also speaking to ourselves to not just be bystanders when it comes to issues that affect children. We should be upstanders, that, look on me, and then what you call the culture of silence. But it begins from somewhere. It begins from the fact that, trust has been breached somewhere. And as a counselor, so you see a lot of clients who come in and you see that they are carrying childhood trauma. And we're looking at how do we begin to speak to address these issues so that, like we say, prevention is actually, is what? It's better. Better and cheaper. I must tell you, cheaper than cure, because when you already have people, who've been through abuse, some find it very difficult to be able to overcome the abuse, overcome the trauma of what they've been through. And we will be also sharing with us what we can do in case you know any situation, any instance where trust has been breached, and you're thinking of what you want to do. But we want you to know that this is a safe space, okay? And then before we begin today's conversation, I want to invite everyone to take a deep breath. Wherever you're listening to us from, whether you're watching on Facebook Live, we want you to know that what we're doing today, and we're talking about child protection and trust. And for many of you, I must say, it isn't just a topic for many people. For some, it's a memory. When you talk about things like this, a lot of memories just, come back, and some are listening through the lens of their childhood wounds once they hear child protection, child safeguarding. And at Nurture Nest, having this as our CSR, the Character Matters, we believe that truth is the first step to transformation. And this is a judgment-free zone. We aren't here to shame parents, and we want everybody to understand that. If parents knew better, they would do better. And you must know that for a lot of parents who seem like they neglected the children, maybe that was just the culture. Oh, just send them to one uncle's house, send them to grandma, grandpa, send them that, trust. It's just that blind trust, as it were. So we aren't here to revisit pain. We're here to stop the cycle by our conversations, by a change in attitude, a call to action for change in attitude. So if the conversation feels heavy, stay with us, because the integrity we discussed today is certainly going to be the medicine for the trauma of tomorrow. So sometimes we sweep these things under the carpet, and because we do not talk about them, you see the issues that they bring on the long run. And we're saying to ourselves that we need to begin to talk about these issues going forward. So I'm going to be going on to my very first guest today, Mrs. Patricia Abokede. Like I said, with all that she's involved in, we want to begin to look at character and trust, because you're looking at how to deconstruct character deficits in adults. You know that it becomes trauma debt for children. So you're looking at the trust bankruptcy. You're looking at, as an expert, you're also an expert in sexual integrity, and not just in child protection. We often talk about stranger danger. But the statistics tell us that trust is most often violated by those who have keys to the house, uncles, neighbors, even teachers in some regards, sometimes religious leaders. So how does a deficit of personal integrity in a trusted adult, how does it manifest as a trauma disorder in a child? And why is integrity the most important security system that a family can have? Over to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much for that question. First, I will mention that children begin to learn trust from age 0 to about 18 months.
Okay.
Which is almost very insignificant age. That period you feel the child knows nothing. In fact, an ordinary person who doesn't have any knowledge on child development, who doesn't even know that age is so significant to build trust in human beings. So most times, the deficit in character or integrity starts as early as that age. So let's take, for example, a child who is on exclusive breastfeeding, who needs to eat at a particular time, and the child is crying, expecting the mother, because that's the only way the child can communicate. Expecting the mother to come and breastfeed, and the mother is nowhere to be found. Probably gone to work, probably playing with her phone, probably watching a TV series, and she prefers that than breastfeeding the child. At that point, that child feels, oh, I trusted this person, and what I'm looking for is not coming to me. The child begins to lose trust in the mother and in the system gradually, as early as that age. So when we adults lack character, because children don't have the capacity to know that people can distrust them. Children believe that their caregivers can be trusted, can say the truth, can protect them. They believe solely. I don't know if you've seen when you are working with a child, the child is flinging his body anyhow. The child doesn't expect you to leave him or leave her hand. So they believe that nothing can happen to me around mommy. Nothing can happen to me around my caregivers. So when those periods, when we breach trust at that time, it's already affecting the nervous system of that child to know that, okay, the word cannot be trusted. And it also happens when, of course, it's unfortunate that both parents need to be out there looking for means of livelihood. So mothers are now forced to put their children in daycare early. And when you have a daycare giver who doesn't understand, or child caregiver generally, who doesn't understand the need to build trust in the child, and the child is crying for attention, and we decide to ignore that child, that child begins to lose trust in society. So another way is, now when a child is growing up, we still lay the foundation of trust. So as the child is growing up gradually, and just begin to expose to the society, the family is the primary unit of socialization. So everything starts from the family. Then the child goes to school or begin to have other people in the house. So we now have house help, we have uncles, we have aunties who come and begin to, play with the child's mind.
And because the child is vulnerable at that time and highly impressionable, for instance, they've had maybe the parent, that trust that you're talking about, mom, dad, and they believe that every other grown person around them should be able to take care of them. You should be like mom or be like dad.
So those moments, even with a child falling from the bed, as simple as that could be, could mean that, I trusted these people to take care of me, and they did not do what they need to do. That can, now a child who has been deprived or neglected, this is a simple neglect. When we're talking about neglect, people think it's when you throw a child to the streets. Or you throw a child to... It's bigger than that.
It's a breach of trust.
Yes. So when the child feels neglected, the child begins to feel unsafe in society. Then that makes the child more vulnerable. The child begins to look for trust, looking for love. Because every human being, the instinct and emotion of love has been in us from childhood. So when a child doesn't get it directly from the primary caregiver, the child begins to look for love elsewhere. And that makes the child even more vulnerable. So that affects the child's ability to the environment becomes vulnerable. Or is that the English? I want to use something else different from vulnerable. The environment becomes toxic for the child. The child is begin to feel unsafe, begin to feel I can do it myself. Let me sort myself out. If these people will not help me, let me help myself. And that leads to trauma. Trauma is not exactly what is happening right away. Is a long-term effect of what has happened.
Thank you so much. Please hold your thoughts right there. I'll be coming back to you. Going over to Dr. Rose Odigbo. You are the state coordinator of Child Protection Network. Child Protection Network, by the way, is a brainchild of UNICEF. And we're also talking about safeguarding of children. And we're looking at systems and structures, beginning from the home front. Now, the systems and structures are not just there by themselves, okay? We know that the systems and structures are manned by humans. It's people who control the systems and the structures. So when we talk about the systems protecting children, but it's only as strong as the integrity of the people who are running it. So the laws may be there, the systems may be there. And for you, as the Southwest Coordinator of Association of Home Operators, how do you ensure that there is no character deficit in those who have been empowered? Because I think it's a form of empowerment, or entrusted the care of children. Have you encountered cases where there's been character deficit? What can be done to bridge the gap, to prevent further reoccurrence? And how do you also ensure that these systems and structures are manned by trustworthy individuals who will not take advantage of the children that they're expected to protect?
Okay. In such is a foundational work.
Foundational work.
Before somebody can be looked upon and then be entrusted with children, as a carer, there should have been a form of monitoring, a form of a kind of foundational work. Who is this person?
So background check.
What has this person been doing before deciding on this? Who is he? And what are the things he has done to help children in the past? So this monitoring and check will be able to help to be able to say, okay, this person will be entrusted with such a work. This person will be able to handle such a work. And
to be able to say that this person is worthy of this trust.
This person is worthy of this trust. Then constant check, monitoring, and then a kind of transparency on the side of this person we are entrusting on. How does he take issues? Is he the kind of person that when things happen, he's able to take it up, work on it? Because somebody who will take care of children, this person's life will definitely rub on the children around him.
So even the attitude of the adult or the caregiver has a lot to say about how the children end up or how they turn out eventually.
The attitude of this caregiver or this carer also will rub on those children. So for us to entrust children on a person, this person must also be a kind of character-wise that we can averagely say, yes, he knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing.
So I want you to hold your thought there, because what we're doing on Character Matters, like I said, is we identify the issues, but not just identify the issues, prefer solutions. So that if we have character deficit and we've seen gaps, now there are people who have been saddled with the responsibility to assign roles. To say, for instance, somebody is going to open a daycare center, is going to open a school, going to open an orphanage, there must be people who also vet, who check on the character of so-called, because we've had pedophiles open such centers. And you would have been hearing, that which is all over social media. Someone who tweeted several years ago about, some things she maybe just mindless posts, I wouldn't know. But people are going back to some of those posts that, this person had worked in a daycare. Are they sure that, this person didn't expose those young minds to, forms of abuse? So how do we really ensure? Because you have several children who suffer in silence.
Yeah.
So I really also want us to talk about, what do we do? A lot of people do not know. So you want to take a child to a daycare center. You want to entrust your child to them. And a lot of parents hustle and bustle, like we say. They are out in the morning and the children are in such places or with such caregivers for several hours. So CPN coordinator has talked about background check and then profiling, to be able to see that before you even engage and assign roles to this kind of people, what do you know about them? Who are the people speaking about the attitudes that they have? Before I leave Mrs. Odigba, I also want us to just talk about maybe the Oyo State reality question, because this is Oyo State. I know people will watch from different parts of the world, but your work, with CSOs and maybe state actors in Oyo State, what's the greatest enemy of child protection right now? I would like you to talk. I don't want to give you options. What would you think? Do you think, okay, maybe I help you. Do you think it's lack of funding, or is it a culture of silence that is driven by fear of shaming family reputations? That things are happening to the children. Trust is being breached and children are being abused, but there's a lot of such. So I want to leave that to you before I go back to Mrs. Abokede. That, like I said, it's not impossible. Some persons are going through trauma because their rights were violated, they were abused, and they're listening to us, And, when you talk about issues like this, like you're touching, scars, deep scars, and some may have never opened their mouth to even say to anyone that this has happened to them. That this trusted uncle breached this trust, or this father breached this trust. So over to you, ma'am. So what do you think is the greatest enemy?
The greatest enemy is this culture of silence.
The culture of silence.
For example, this morning I received a call, and the person said in my area, a girl of 7 years was raped by an uncle in the neighborhood. And then the family of this uncle went to the woman, gave her some money to take the girl to the hospital, and pleaded with her, and that was all.
Wow.
But he felt very bad, and he felt, what can I do about this?
So you are talking about a conscience that is not deadened.
Not deadened. So I said, can you go to a nearby police station? He said, no, so that I won't be labeled. Please, what can you do? I said, okay, I'll get back to you. Now, if he's bold enough to open up and go to the police station, something will start from there. Then again, this culture of silence, like you said, this girl is not put into consideration at all. She's not. The woman have collected the money.
So you also see the issue of self-centeredness, trying to protect your own interest at the expense of the well-being of a child.
So this culture of silence.
So what can we do? So if you have said now, I'm holding you by your word, that this, how do we break this culture of silence?
We'll break this. We are actually working on it in CPN. With advocacy, like what we are doing
and what
now.
We're doing now,
telling people, and then the law enforcement agents. When cases are also brought to them, the way to be handled, so that the person who brought the reports to them will be protected.
Okay, so you protect the image of the person reporting. So like the whistleblower protection law, that this person has seen something that is not okay, because you say if you see something, say something. So that you are even keeping quiet about it is a crime. So I think people need to know that if you know of any child who is being abused, and as we're saying now, I really want to emphasize to our listeners, the abuse is not just sexual abuse. We've talked about neglect. We have physical abuse. You see some people inflict pain, torture on children. Children who should be in school, who are hawking on the streets. Those are forms of abuse that these children have been given to some individuals to take care of them, and then they neglect them and let them roam the street. Thank you so much, Mrs. Odigbo. So we've talked about the culture of silence, how we need to encourage people. So maybe later, when I come back to you, let's talk about some maybe referral pathway, reporting pathway, I meant to say. How do people report? Oh, they've seen something. And I want to encourage somebody out there. We had a case, about 2 years ago. It was somebody in the neighborhood. That is why also observation, being observant and watchful is very important. Being our neighbor's keeper. Now, they just observed that this particular girl from this family, they weren't seeing her go to school as they would see her go to school every morning, but they would see the children of the guardian go to school. So what did they do? They had, I'm sure the number was out there, and they called CPN that they suspected that something was wrong with that child, a teenage child. You remember that case? And the security agency was invited, and they just did played a blind visit to, they gave the description. So the whistleblower gave the description, gave the address. I'm saying this, so if you know, you can call. We will give you some numbers that you can call. When you call the number, just give the description. You don't need to tell us your name. Just describe what is happening. And they went there, and true to what they said, the girl was found at home, already impregnated by the aunt's husband. So a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are going on. You see some children also at home who should go to school, they use them as house helps. Some parents entrusted those children. They couldn't afford to send those children to school and say, oh, there's an uncle somewhere, there's an aunt somewhere that can care for this child. Please help us take out. Some even promise. They are the ones who even go and say, let this child come and stay with us now. Why is she just at home? And then they take that child. The child becomes the slave to everybody in the house. Thank you so much. We'll come back to that. I still want us to look at, the trauma-informed recovery. So the person who is listening, we've talked about, who was exploited as a child, someone whose trust was broken by an elder with no character. They are now adults, and they're struggling with their own relationships. They're struggling with their identity. So can integrity be rebuilt once it has been shattered by trauma? Mrs. Abukede,
yes,
can it be rebuilt?
It can be rebuilt.
Okay, you need to help somebody out there.
Yes. The fact that you were traumatized as a child does not mean you can't amount to anything. Okay. As a matter of fact, trauma has a way of affecting your self-identity, attachments, your attachment style. Some people become avoidant attachment or over secure attachment. They would cling to somebody they don't want. Even when the relationship is bad, they're in an abusive relationship, they still want to cling to you because they don't want to let go. They're afraid of being left behind. Why we are doing this, and why many of us are into advocacy, is because maybe some of us went through such things and realized that, this wasn't good. Maybe nobody told us. But people are now more aware, and they are out there talking to the public, that knowing that, okay, you have been traumatized. That doesn't mean you should stay there and mourn your trauma or keep romancing your trauma. You should snap out of it.
How do they snap out of it?
Is it that easy? It's not that easy. It's you can't do it alone. You need help.
And that's why we're here.
Yes, that's why we are here.
On Character Matters. That's why we're here, to let you know that help is available.
Yes.
Help is available.
So you need help. There are so many ways you can get help. Okay. I want to emphasize that getting help is not only spiritual, because some of us have over spiritualized everything.
I think we need to be speaking so much to our religious leaders.
Yes, should help. Please, religious leaders should know their limits. we are a holistic human being. We are social being, psychological being, emotional being, spiritual being, physical being. 5 faculty in a human being. So we can't focus only on the spiritual. When somebody is going through emotional pain, who can go through therapy with an emotional therapist, let them go for therapy.
So what do they do? Maybe 1, 2 that you want to. What happens really in therapy? What really happens in therapy that the religious leader alone may not be able to do?
Yes. As much as we are trying to help them spiritually, what happens in therapy is that some people are professionals. They've been trained to learn how to study the mind, not to read the mind, because some of us misinterpret it.
So there's a difference.
There's a difference. There's a science behind studying the mind or seeing through what somebody is going through with tools.
Based on what attitude
the person is. Yes, there will be a test. Yeah, of course, the person will go through some tests. They will examine the person, know what exactly is the problem. Is it a mental health disorder? Is it emotional disorder? Is it just a habit? That just needs to be changed.
Some instruments.
Some instruments will be used to test. So it's not a magic that somebody will look at you in the face and say, "Oh,"
begin to say. No, so it's not magic.
It's not magic. It's a science. Yeah, it's not magic. It's not magic. And nobody will ever look at your face and say you are going through
read your mind. And
no. So they have to go through some tests, and then diagnosis is made. When the diagnosis is made, then they put through a therapy. There are so many therapies. We have cognitive behavioral therapy. We have talk therapy. We have family therapy. Some people have to involve the family. If it's a transgenerational trauma that needs the parents to be there, even the grandparents to be there. We may need to call people to come and discuss this thing, because there are so many families that have been shattered due to trauma. They can't come together. There are some siblings that they can never come together to have a discussion. That even 1 minute discussion they will fight because of what the parents have done when they were children. Probably they had preference for one child to another, or they were name calling one child. And somebody shared something recently and said, okay, her mother died recently, and maybe the father died. And they now called and said, "You are the daddy's favorite too, so you are supposed to carry the highest share." And she was the last one or the middle child, I can't remember. But she never knew. She never knew in her entire life.
No preferential treatment.
She was even daddy's favorite. She never knew. But the other people have seen that you are
perceived that
even the mom. Felt that your daddy's favorite. So when the father died, they said everything is on her. Because her father spent money on her. Other girls were not sent to school, but her father discovered that she was smart and all of that. So parents who when it comes to trauma, parents has a lot of role. We are not here to blame parents. No, of course parents did what they know, and most of us were parented. Our parenting school was from our parents' home, so we didn't go further.
And a lot of the parenting styles had their roots in culture and tradition.
That is anti-human. So what you need to do is you have to accept acknowledgement. Every healing starts from awareness and acknowledgement. Once you have realized that, okay, I was going through trauma, you could trace it, maybe it's your childhood, or you couldn't even trace it, then seek for help. Help can come from discussing with somebody who may refer you to a therapist, maybe from reading books. There are so many self-help books that can open your mind to healing. Then listen to a lot of podcasts. Get help. You can't do it yourself.
Basically, so pray.
Prayer too is very important. We won't take
the spiritual dimension is there, but you also need to be able to. Sometimes people are not able to really speak up or express themselves. Yes. So we also encourage people to be able to speak up and explain what they're going through.
Yeah, just like some people go for marriage. Post-marriage
they go for counseling when they're already married.
They're having issues. They focus on what is not the problem and not saying the problem, and the counselor or therapist may not be able to help you if you can't speak up and say the exact truth so that you can be helped.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. So back to you, Mrs. Odigbo. So we're looking at, we're talking about integrity, and we're talking about you being the Southwest coordinator of Association of Orphanages. These orphanages are supposed to be nests, haven, safety nets for vulnerable children. But we've heard horror stories of exploitation within such institutions. So how do you vet? I still want to go back to the character of those who run these homes. You talked about some things, that there's a need for background check. Then you talked about you talked about the need for constant monitoring. But I know also the alternative care. I want you to speak to the issue of, alternative care, so that children are not re-traumatized, So amazing work that you're doing. A lot of maybe children who have been neglected or abused, and they're taken into the home. And now what happens? How do you now in this instance, because you are there, you're one person, maybe the person who has the vision, but other people who are working with you, how do we ensure that they maintain that level of integrity, that such vulnerable children who have been rescued are not re-traumatized? And you hear things that, it's your fault, you too, why would you wear that kind of clothes? What were you doing at that time of the night? So at that setting, how do we help those who have been saddled with that responsibility of trust for the care of those children, so that they don't re-traumatize them? How do you do that? Do you have some kind of trainings that you do? How do you really help? And people who hear outside too, so that they, there's a place that when people hear that this is what is happening, then they have trust in the system. Yes. Some persons have lost trust in some systems because of what they've heard. But how do we rebuild trust in the system? Thank you.
Like I said earlier, it's not based on only paperwork. That means making sure that a home or an orphanage center have all the documents that is needed. Approved, but the person in charge also needs to be vetted, and then training. Before a caregiver is employed, you have to find out who is this person, where has this person worked before, what has he or she been involved in.
So a caregiver, for instance, who's been used to somebody waking them up with some curses, and then they come to the
definitely,
and then it's the same thing they want to start to say.
And then the child is in the home,
because
the child was a rape case. Look at how she's dressed. No wonder you were raped. And then the child is traumatized.
Let me ask you, what do you think that kind of statement does to that kind of child?
Oh, initially, when that child is brought to the home or that shelter, the child feels a safe haven where I can now relax. I'm loved and cared for. Then such a statement takes this child back to where this child is coming
the
from.
Memory of the pain.
The pain and everything comes in afresh. And at a point, a child may even say, if I even stayed back, maybe it would have been better for me. So caregivers need to be trained and retrained and then monitored.
And monitored as well. Yes. Thank you so much. I still want us to stay a bit more on the issue of protection. It's still Character Matters for Nation Building on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. We'll go on a short break and we'll be back.
This conversation shapes lives. Welcome back to Character Matters for Nation Building.
You're welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. And my guests are still very much here. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosemary Odigbo and Mrs. Patricia Abukede. So like we've always emphasized, this is about seeking solution. That I'm sure if we have to talk about what the issues are, I mean, we won't leave this place. If they give us the next 2-3 hours, we'll be talking about all of the issues and the cases that have been managed. And now we want to begin to look at, what really in child protection, is it easier to build a strong child or repair a broken adult? Which one is easier?
It's easier to build
than to repair. Easier to build than to repair. So how do we get the words out there, people who are listening to us? So they really want to understand this child protection they're talking about. You want to, give out some words there and how it affects us as adults around the children who have been entrusted with, care for these children.
Child protection is what every family should be involved in, every community, at every level. Everyone should be involved in child protection. A child well protected, well nurtured, becomes a responsible adult tomorrow.
Like we say that the children are the rights holders and the adults are the duty bearers. So all of us are the duty bearers.
Every one of us are involved.
Well involved.
A child that is well nurtured, as that child is growing up, this child definitely will not be a bully. But a child that has been toughened either because of serious labor, abuse, and all sorts, gets toughened and becomes an abuser tomorrow. Because that child feels it's normal to be wicked, it's normal to maltreat others. And then this child will remember how he or she has been maltreated and want to vet same on others. This is where we now come in with therapy and all sorts to make the child knows that no, this is not a normal way of living. This is not how to live as an adult or continue as a child. So that this child will later be a reformer and not be a breaker of other children.
So in providing the care and support, for instance, you have children in conflict with the law, children who are raised by parents who have the character deficit. For instance, a father who's always involved in drinking alcohol has exposed that child at that level, and the child is also involved, like a case some time ago that the child was seen on the street. I think the child had gone into drugs at some point, and by the time the home tracing was done, the father was somewhere in one motor park also, so you could just easily ibito tirini, but do we just keep ibito tirini? What more can we do for such children? Because they've been entrusted by God Almighty. He gave them to the family, and now this is what this child is into. How can they be helped? And sometimes you see in some school settings, and then they see the situation that this is what is happening, and then they trace it back to what is happening at home. What can be done? Does the law give room, like we're talking about whistleblowing, that if you see such cases, will such children, can they be withdrawn from such adults with character deficit? Can they be withdrawn?
Yes, such children can be withdrawn. There is this case of a boy of I think 9 years old. The father steals and uses this boy to break into homes. This boy will help to enter through the window, then open the door for him.
Because the child has a small stature. Can you imagine?
So at the end of the day, in one of the particular case, the man was arrested, and this boy was also arrested. And then when the man was trying to deny, the boy said no, that is one that helped him to carry those things that he passed out to go and keep somewhere. And he took the vigilante people to the place, and that was how the load was carried. And so such a child will not be left in the hand of such a family. And then he was withdrawn temporarily by the Ministry of Women Affairs and placed in a
Please,
shelter.
I want you to say that again in case somebody is listening and they're wondering, what do we do now? I cannot withdraw this child. I can't take this child from the father and bring this child to my own family. Let me just leave them. Maybe it's the father. And you hear things. Please, I want you to say it again so that people are aware of what really they can do. And because if we're talking about breaking the culture of silence, people keep quiet a lot of times because they feel they are helpless. They don't know what to do. So let the child just continue, to be they just pray. So you are saying beyond praying for that child, please, I want you to emphasize that again so
beyond praying for that child, we need to intervene. And part of this intervention is can be reported to the Minister of Women Affairs.
Where?
Secretariat in Ibadan.
Okay.
Yes.
Secretariat Ibadan. Well, I'm not living in Ibadan. I'm living at Bisayin. Okay, Ogun.
Yes.
Okay.
Still, yes.
So I have to come all the way to Ibadan.
Calls can be made.
Okay.
We've had cases whereby we have to connect ourselves because in Child Protection Network we have the grassroots zones. And so when there are cases, the zones close to where the incident happened will be made to take care and tackle. So if that child needs to be withdrawn, it will be worked on. That child will be withdrawn. The case brought to the Ministry of Women Affairs, then the child will be placed at a temporary shelter. Okay. So it's very easy. And then even if cases are taken to the law enforcement agents, some of them work with us. Okay. They already know this. And they know that, no, this child, for example, a child living with somebody who has been maltreating him or her and involve the child in serious child labor, abuse and the rest, definitely such a child will not go back to that family. The first intervention is to withdraw that child from this abuser. And then case goes on there. Then this abuser will be made to bring the real biological parents of the child. And then
but what if those who are abusing they are the biological
the child
parents.
Is withdrawn. There are cases whereby every child belongs to the government. So the government has a right to withdraw any child that is not being well taken care of.
Say, mommy now.
It's more than
under the law. It's more than mommy.
Yes.
Okay.
Under the law.
Under the law. Okay. So maybe you give us a number that people can call anonymously. If they don't, you don't need to mention your name, but you've seen that there's a case of abuse, there's a breach of trust. A child is being maltreated, is being abused, and like we've said, it's not just sexually. A child may be neglected, and maybe issues of children living with disability, and then maybe sometimes because they do not know what to do or they cannot afford the care of such a child, and then they just abandon such children. So you have a number. I'll come back to Mrs. Odigbo. She gets a number ready. She can, mention that number so that listeners out there, like we said, let's not continue to be bystanders. Let's be upstanders. Let us stand up, for the rights of children, for the protection of children. Mrs. Abukede, so what is the one red flag in an adult's character that says they shouldn't be left alone with children? I'm sure there will be more than one, but if you're going to just advise us, because we're talking about the life of an individual, a child, and if that child is not protected at this time, you are talking about what will happen to the future of that child. So what are some of those? Maybe don't let me just say one, maybe one or two.
If I'm going to say one, I'll say an adult that breached boundaries. And now that boundary will not be in different ways.
Okay, maybe you want to mention one or two.
Yeah. So when we talk about breaching of boundaries, for example, who breach the boundary, personal boundaries, may touch a child in an inappropriate way, or a parent or an adult who deprives a child of education. That's also breaching of boundaries. A child should be in school, and because the child is maybe living with you, you prefer the child to stay at home and do domestic work. Or a parent who breach the boundary of nutritional health. A child misbehave and you say, because you did this, I will not feed you today. So any form of boundary that will harm a child, that would make a child less a human. Everybody gets hungry. So imagine you are hungry and you are actually seeing people eating and you are deprived of food. Anything can happen to that child.
And such kind of children, see some of them go out and begin to beg.
Yes, they go out and beg. And when they go and beg, they are more vulnerable to other people who see them.
And we see a lot of them on the streets, on our streets here in Ibadan. We see a lot of them, or in traffic. Before you know it, they have surrounded your vehicle. And
so boundaries are very important. So when a child is being deprived of their rights, the adult is breaching the boundary of that child. Such a habit should not be overlooked.
It should not be overlooked.
So either it is sexual abuse. So I've talked about all forms of abuse: sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, or somebody who calls a child a name, verbal. You know, some parents wake up, or people. There are some households. The first thing they use to greet the child is a negative word. Such are boundaries that we should not joke with, because a child has a right to a name and a good name.
A good name at that.
So I ask people, how do we all know we are bearing this particular name we bear? No child is born with a name. When a child is born, they give the child a name. The child still does not know his name. But everybody look at that child and call that child that name. So over time, the child adopts that name.
So imagine somebody gives birth to a child and calls the child goodness. The child, when the child knows the meaning of goodness, the child certainly will feel good. But somebody keeps calling the child liar, curse words.
The child begins to accept.
The child knows the meaning too.
And before you know, the child start also lying. So boundaries are important, and boundaries cannot be overemphasized. No adult should break the boundary of a child.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Abokede. On the show, it always seems like we don't have enough time, but we need to begin to tie together. Mrs. Odigbo, what number, can people call in case, they observe a breach of trust, with regards to the protection of children? We're talking about character matters, and we know that trust is one of the great pillars that need to be upheld. If you want to call out a number that people can call.
080
Okay.
338 437 62.
You want to say that again, ma'am?
080 338 437 62.
Thank you very much. So, final words from you. Can a family truly recover from the betrayal of trust within its own walls?
Yes, a family can, if they all agree.
To
heal.
So there must be a choice to make.
A choice, yes. It has to be intentional.
We need to accept that trust has been breached.
Yes, we need to accept it. We need to acknowledge it, and we need to go through the process of healing. Now, when we talk about healing, doesn't mean they have to be perfect relationship again. No, it doesn't mean that we have to. We're not still
like Mrs. Odigbo talked about withdrawal. So
yes, it may not be so smooth again.
To bring them together
again. But the fact that I realize I hurt you. I'm sorry. I didn't know better. Expression. Knowing that you actually breached a child's boundary and saying sorry. And let's adults say sorry
to children.
I want to say before you took it that it's not only children that should say sorry to adults. Adults too should learn to say sorry.
Adults should learn to say sorry.
It's very important.
Some of us who are adults now, some parents breach the trust, but they never say sorry. And like you said, we learned that parenting style, and then we're doing the same to our children. So please, around us, to heal and to have a wholesome family, wholesome community, wholesome nation. Those who have breached trust should be able to hold on, be accountable, and own up to their responsibility, and know that when they do that to a child, it can breed a lifelong trauma in children. Mrs. Odigbo, final words from you, over all of these things.
We need to be, everyone needs to come up And let's be intentional.
Be intentional
about speaking out. And reporting. Regarding whoever is involved. We should not feel egbole, anything. Let's open up. If my husband, God forbid, defied a girl, I should be able to come out and say it and let the law take its effect. When I'm able to do this, others are able to do that. My brother defied a child in the neighborhood, and I went to go and beg and say, let us cover it up. No,
because it's my brother.
Because it's my brother. So let's be intentional about speaking out. It will help us a lot. Yes, the cycle of this silence.
Let's break the cycle.
Because child protection is everybody's business.
It's everybody's business. Character matters. This has been the show today, the 1st of March 2026, and my amazing guest, Mrs. Patricia Abokede. Thank you so much for those insightful words. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosemary Odigo, Coordinator Child Protection Network Oyos. I know there's so much to be done, and we certainly couldn't have covered, all of those today. We'll still have you back very, very soon, because like you said, we need to keep talking about all of these things. And to all our listeners, please remember, do not be a bystander. Be an upstander. When you see something, say something about it. There's somebody that you can report. You can be anonymous about it, and your own personality can be protected, without saying, this is the name of the person. Please let us break the culture of silence. Thank you so much. It's been Character Matters on Wales Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred awesome radio. Thank you so much, our studio manager, Mr. Stephen, and it's been your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, saying see you next week. Next week Sunday is International Women's Day, and we're going to be having amazing women here in the studios. Bye everyone.